everybody, and welcome to a brand new episode of Mrs. Pinky Thoughts. I am your host, Nicole Pinkston, and we are so excited because we are in 2024, and this is also a new season. Yes, this is season 8, episode 1, and we are so glad that you can join us. And I called my entire audience icons. So if you're here with us today and you're watching this podcast live, or you're listening to the audio replay on Apple or Spotify, we thank you, and we thank you for joining our iconic community. Oh man, it is so amazing to be back. We had a wonderful Christmas holiday with my family. I'm hoping you guys also enjoyed your Christmas, your Hanukkah, your Kwanzaa, whatever it is you do and how you do it. I hope you had a wonderful time and a happy new year. So we are already back for our first podcast episode in the new year. So we have to jump right into our work over at Iconic. We are so excited. We know that this year is an election season. We know that so much is going on. So much has already happened. This is day 6, and we are just got so much going on. So I'm going to drop some iconic news of what we got going on. But before we get into that, I want to have our discussion. I want to talk about a few things. I want to talk about us having hope for the future. And I decided to show you guys my face so you guys can put a face with the audio. I did a lot of audio podcasts before because I had such a scheduling thing with my children. I don't always get my guests on, or I won't always have guests on my show, but we will mix it up. You won't just only hear me from time to time. So let's jump in before we get into any of what's going on for this episode. I want to tell you about our sponsor. Our sponsor today is My Iconic Formula for Marriage Success, our 6th book in our collection. That is our sponsor. What we're doing this season is we are going to actually give out 3,000 copies nationwide of our newest book. And our newest book is number 6 because I have 5 previous ones. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Yes, they're real books. And I know a lot of you got digital copies and you didn't know that they're also in print form. But the 6th book that's going to be a part of this collection is going to be my marriage e-course. That's 30 days that you or your spouse or the both of you go through and you learn to be empowered through your marriage. But I wanted to put it in a book format because not all of us can sit down and take a whole course or have coaching readily available. So we want to just get something we can read and go, oh, I got it. And then we hand it out. But I'm partnering with the Conscious Conservative Movement, which is a political action organization. As all you might have known if you go back and listen to other podcasts, that I used to be the media director for the Conscious Conservative Movement with Coach Felicia Killings. But I branched off to do something in the social spaces to help families, children, that sort of thing. And so now we partner side by side as our 2 different organizations. She's going to be handing out political, get out the vote, what are your demands for your politicians in 2024 things, as we do on the ground offline outreach. And what I'm going to do is take this new book and I'm going to pair it with her materials, and then it's going to be free to everyone because of your donations. So if you want to become a part of that, which is also the sponsor for this show, I highly suggest that you go over to GoGetFunding.com/iconic-formula, and I'm going to actually show you the page. Let's when you go over there, it looks like this, and it gives you our entire campaign story, which I'm going to read later in the show. And if you want rewards, you want to also make sure you click this one, because will get you your pre-order book of the next book, and that's going to be the cover. And it's going to be a digital copy. But if you want a print copy, we'll do that later. You can get all 5 books I just shown you. And you will also get the 6th book if you click this one. If you want our premium access to this newsletter, or if you want to donate and give it to someone else, because you should have premium access already if you're watching this podcast live, unless you're listening to the audio. If you listening to the audio over on Spotify or something like that, and you don't have a premium subscription over at the network, you can go over to the network, and that'll be taken care of. And if you also want to take the course after you read the book and you're like, oh, this is interesting, I want more in-depth teachings, I need this to help strengthen my marriage, you can actually pair the book with the course for a donation of $100. I'm sorry that was long-winded, but I just wanted to get that out of the way. So we're going back to our main topic, which is hope for 2024. Again, this is an election season, and a lot of my podcasts before I moved over into the social space did talk about politics, but I'm not actually going to talk about politics, tell you to go vote or none of that in this episode. But what I am going to say is that a lot of people have a lot of distractions going on. They're talking about calendars, they're talking about Cake Lady, they're talking about modesty, they're talking about Epstein list, they're talking about Cat Williams, and it's just a whole bunch of stuff going on where the election itself is getting lost in the sauce. So I wanted to come in and I wanted to give you some hope. Oh man, it's so much stuff to be fearful about, upset about, mad about, that you could just sit here and we could blah, blah, blah all day long. But let me go back to my original point that I made at the end of 2023 over at Sunny's Corner on Sirius XM 125 on Saturdays, which is later today. She goes at 1 o'clock, 3 o'clock. She blessed me with her next to the last episode, and she asked me to say something to everybody. And what my basic message was, not the whole thing, was that we need hope. Now, if you're a Christian, the Bible says that hope is the substance, that faith is the substance of things hoped for and the evidence of things not seen. It means that you don't actually have to see evidence that something is possible to believe and have faith that it can be done. If God has something for you, it's for you. If God is going to give you a new career, give you a husband or wife, give you children, give you good health, give you fixed, broken, and mended relationships, it's going to be for you. You don't have to see the evidence. And while I'm over on X app a lot, I'm over there way too much, and on Facebook and on Threads and on Instagram, I'm always seeing people losing hope. That's why when I made my first book, this is actually not the first book. I'm trying to get it real quick. I made my first book, Breaking Fear. This was very important to me because it was a time in my life when I wanted to die. I wanted to give up. I wanted to be done here. I want to go meet Jesus. I want to chill with him in heaven. I was ready to be out of planet Earth. Excuse the background noises. This is a pre-recording and you might hear some kids going to school. But my kids are homeschooled, so they're good. But this is the anniversary of this book, and you might see some pictures of people because of your donations that got the book for free, and they were happy and they took pictures with them. Two of them was veterans, another was a nice lady. I give books to people who are actually impacting their community around there and people who actually might need the message or something like that. So back to what we were talking about. So there were people on X just, sad and upset about a lot of things. Like if you go through my X timeline, let's go to the main page, and you just go down and you just look. More talking about Cat Williams, more talking about, everything he said. Her boobs are out. Somebody's going to call that demonic. Things about Trump, stuff going on. And this is actually a really good message. But as you go through your social media, and as always, I can pull up more of my social media, you'll see nothing but, I can't find a man. I don't know what's going on. This person is fat. This person is useless. This person is blocking this person. It's just a lot of stuff that is negative. So where do people go to hear something positive? They can come right over here to Iconic. And the reason I decided to do that, which I could obviously, talk about negative stuff. I could talk about people lack of enthusiasm, people not doing this, doing that, and I've done that. And you could go find those podcasts. But we need people to see that things are possible, and we need to see, give people the motivation that's not based in fear, because fear steals your joy. Fear takes away hope. Fear keeps you stunted. You ever see one of them goats that ready to cram or do something and then they get fearful and they tip over? That's what fear does. It's crippling. It keeps you from your destiny. If you think you're useless or you're too fat or you got a double chin or you got gray hair and you can't have a loving family, I don't know where this house came from. you won't try. You won't think that you can be better, and you will lose yourself, and you'll be like me back in this story. This story has another story in here where I got fearful again. And actually, if you go to the back of the story, there's 4 interviews for us on Twitter Spaces. The other people were afraid. We got Trey, who was in prison. We got Coach, who went through her story, and she deals with single mothers, abuse victims, and she's a coach, and she deals with so many different people. Even my story, I had to tell her because she helps me publish the book. We got Aja in there, who was an Afghanistan veteran. She ran for office. She lost a lot of family members, people very dear to her this year. I'm praying for her. And we got Shamika Michelle, who's on the show called Fearless, and her story and her personal journey. And we tell you these stories because we want to show you that there is a promised land on the other side. There is hope. There is better. The reason we say Happy New Year and the reason we celebrate so hard, we drink, we party, we have fireworks, we hug our loved ones, we kiss our babies and boos. We do that because we're so excited for a chance to do something better. You know, I was a soldier in the United States Army, and I'm telling you, it was rough. I did not grow up athletic. I didn't grow up, playing basketball like some females. I didn't go, track running. I was none of those things. I was a nerd. I was in my books. I was in my studies. I liked anime. I liked cartoons. I was playing video games. And my life at that point was terrible. It was back in 2003-ish, 2002-ish. I had got myself a full ride scholarship to one of a prestigious college, I think Towson University in Baltimore, Maryland, where I'm from. Shout out Ravens. But back to the story, I messed that all up. It's a long story, but I did what I wanted in school was to get to college. I got to college and then messed it up. So I had to figure out what I was going to do. Like I said in another newsletter, I gave y'all this background story, and I don't mind telling my stories because I want to offer you guys hope. And I had to do something. And I'm not going to lie, I saw a recruiter one time at college, and I actually kind of laughed in my internal because I was like, I was big then, like I'm big now. And I was like, become a soldier? Like running and jumping and climbing and shooting? Nah. I mean, I play Call of Duty, but doing it for real, even in high school when I dabbled with ROTC with the Marines and I loved it, doing it for real? Nah. And so I ignored that lady that time. But then I think around 2004, 5-ish, 6-ish, 5 is about 5. It's a while ago now. So my younger brother, who ended up being a Marine, had the Army recruiter in our house, and my dad just threw me under the bus and was like, what about her? She on my couch. She not doing nothing. And my dad wasn't wrong. I think I just had lost another job. I was eating chips and I was just no direction, no purpose, no nothing. And there was no man coming to save me because I wouldn't date nobody. So I was like, you know what? I told that recruiter to his face. I said, if you can get me to go to the gym, if you can get my big self to go running and stuff, then I will go join. I will go join. And you know the crazy part about it? And he was like, all right, bet. And he did. We started going to the YMCA. We started losing weight. I started looking good and feeling good. And he was like, you ready to go? And that's how it all happened. And boy, was I still not ready. When I got to Fort Jackson, South Carolina, and them drill sergeants jumped on that bus and told us to get the hell off that bus. You mine now. I was like, oh my God, what did I get myself into? I laugh now, but it was not funny back then. Oh my God, I was so discombobulated. I didn't know. I was clumsy. They made us do push-ups right off the bus. I was not even in the right corners. Hey, Private, what is you doing? That's trash. Like, it was crazy. But I say all that to say that you just never know what life has in store for you. So having hope is, at least have hope, have faith. Like, hold on to those two things. And we have no idea what's going to happen in 2024. You remember COVID came in 2020 and they took our babies out of schools and they locked us down and they was having us fight about jabs and no jabs. And they had us all upset. And then the George Floyd riots. And then, I don't know. It was crazy. So if this is any indication that, oh no, it's an election year, they want us to be like, oh no, is COVID coming back? Do we need to put masks on? Do we need to do this? Again, more fear. And that is not what we do over here, okay? What we do over here is hope. And I want to give you hope because like now we're not locked down anymore. Yeah, some people are still wearing masks, but it's optional. Some people, none of us who are unvaccinated are dead. We're still here. I don't know. We took the risk. And, God bless all of the people that we lost over. I lost a cousin who was the reason that my family started. My cousin and my dad went to high school together, and that's how my dad and mom met each other. And rest in peace to him. He died from COVID. So I'm not saying, what you should do. I'm just telling you, the things that you already know happen. And what I gather from all the events that has taken place so far is that we need someone to stand up and give Americans our hope back. And that is what we're doing with this whole media network. I hear a lot of people, especially on the right and conservative, wholesome. It doesn't matter your political affiliation right now, but I just hear a lot of people talk about the gender wars and that we need families and we need relationships, and that some people are walking away and just saying they live in their best single life, they in that soft girl era and all this other stuff. And there's no resources. There's no really, you can go get Act Like a Man, Think Like a Woman in the book, but there's no actual structured program, system, process on how to make everything happen. So that's why I created my 6th book, because I want to give you an actual formula. And what makes me able to do that, I'm honest with you. I tell you that I messed up relationships over and over. I didn't know what I was doing. I didn't know what he was doing. I was gonna get married and then I didn't and messed it up. But for some reason now, this April, I'm going on my 13th year of marriage. I made it 12 steps because I was at 12. But it'll be 13 by the time the book come out. And why did this one work? 12 years? I don't even think I've done anything that long. Let's see. I only had my other car 10 years. My son is 12, so we did him just as long. I've known my husband for 15 years. Actually, it's 2024. Let me back that up. I think I've known this man 17 years. Yeah, because we went to Iraq in 2007. Yes. But not just my personal experience. My bishop, my pastor, rest in peace, he died in 2008, that I had grown up with. Him and his wife, she brought him to the Lord, and then he started preaching. He was like my grandfather because I never grew up with grandfathers, so I call him my grandfather. And his name was Bishop Brown. And Bishop Brown, I used to go in his office. He used to give me candy, and we used to talk a lot about everything. Even when I finally became a soldier, I told him, because he was a World War II veteran, and I was so excited to tell him I was serving like him. And he was just like everybody's granddaddy. He taught me about the Lord. He taught me about church. He even listened when I was backsliding and things like that. And he was married to his wife for a long time. So I got a lot of great people in my line of family that have long marriages, these elders. Even if you don't agree with how they got together with their spouse or what they accept with their spouse, you can take and leave whatever you get. But talking to those people was my resource. So I'm taking the information. My own parents have been married for 40 plus years. Let's see. It'll be 42 years married in July, and it'll be my older brother, it will be 43 this year. So they've been together for almost 45 years. And whatever you have opinions about my parents, or whatever my opinions about my parents are, hey, they making it work. They've been together 45 years and they gonna ride it till the wheels fall off. So even if you laugh and cry and you don't agree with everything, at least they give you something, a foundation. And yes, I'm not negating that the Bible has instructions. I know a lot of people say just go to the Bible, but sometimes we need more tips to go with it. Like, okay, I can't get this verse right, or I can't get this right, or this was Ephesus and this was Galatia, but how do we apply this to the United States in 2024? A lot of people use the term modern to try to make it seem like the principles don't actually work now, when actually we're seeing, because of decline in certain areas, that the principles did work, but we might not understand how they work. How do I make myself a submissive wife? Does submissive actually mean subjugation, or does it mean support? What's the actual Greek and Hebrew translation of that? What does submission look like? What does leadership look like? I'm a guy and I'm supposed to be the head of the household. What does head of household what does that mean? What does protecting my wife with an umbrella mean? What does giving her a covering mean? What does the word husband mean? Those things, I hear words and terminologies like emotional intelligence thrown out there, or, emotional neglect. Do I got to meet my spouse's emotional needs? Is the dishes really what we arguing about? What is emotional labor? Mental load, locus of focus. I can joke and then use slang and use some AAVE, but there's also some psychological terms. Is everybody a narcissist, or just they're too busy talking about narcissism on TikTok and we just hear that term thrown out there? Is there other mental health issues that we don't address? So whenever I write a newsletter, or I started the newsletter this time last year over at Iconic, we started the newsletter because I wanted to do an app, and it wasn't really fluctuating like I wanted to, so we had to pivot and do something else. So I found Substack, and Substack was set up very, very great for what we were trying to do. So when I decided to do the Substack, I wanted to create this tip, advice kind of hotline kind of area where you could be like, you know what? I'm struggling with social media use. My boo is on the phone too much. What do I do? And then you go over to Iconic, you type in media usage, and you see the articles based on that. You and your spouse might be interested in homeschooling, but you have never done it. What do? You type in homeschooling over at Iconic, then we pull it up. It's like an encyclopedia for stuff in life, love, marriage, and family. So what I started to do, not in the very, very beginning, but towards the middle, I started asking you, what is your vision? What is your goals in life, love, marriage, and family? I didn't ever really expect to get a response because I want that to be something personal to you. Now, if you go through my coaching program, we're going to actually have you write that vision and write that mission statement down. And we're going to teach you how to do that because you actually need that for your marriage. People just living life on accident. Like I think his name is Steph over there. He said people live in life on accident, which is funny because our Breaking Fear workshop this time last year was called Live on Purpose. So the fact that he had said living by accident, it just made me giggle because that's what a lot of people do. They don't be intentional. You're not purposeful. You're not, I'm going to do this, 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 and this. And marriage is a business. You don't run it by wishes and prayers and hopes and dreams. You can pray to God. God got you. But God expects you to do some work. Faith without works is dead. So you can have that faith all you want, but if you're just sitting on it doing nothing, it's a dead faith. You actually have to exercise that faith. Like when I went to Iraq, I exercised that I had faith in my training. I exercised I had faith in God that he'll bring me home. I have faith that whatever happened was God's plan. If I died over there, then I'm meant to be with Jesus. So this is what we're structuring here. We're structuring this formula for marriage, these ideas, these newsletters, this podcast, and other to give you intentionality. The reason why so many people are fearful about tomorrow is because they have no plans for tomorrow. They have no vision for tomorrow. Like if you're on a diet, the best way to eat right is to plan what you eat every day. And I'm going to be honest, the worst time I eat is when I don't have an actual plan. I go and just grab chips because I didn't have a plan for a snack. People probably don't understand why I say marriage is a business. What I mean is it is set up with a plan, with a schedule, with positions, with responsibilities, with duties. What is mine? What can I delegate? What can kids do? What is our money situation look like? Am I checking on my finances? Do we have a budget? It's intentionally to win. Winners don't win by accident. I know a lot of people think Michael Phelps, Baltimore again, won because of his genetics. He won because of the way his mom and dad set him up. But people who got good genetics who are sitting on the couch. People who got good singing voices and do nothing with it. Whatever that makes you better than somebody else means nothing if you do absolutely nothing with it. And he didn't just win because he just jumped in the pool. He still had to be trained on how to swim, what the rules were, what lane was his lane, how to keep doing it day in and day out and not get bored. He got trouble with doing drugs and stuff. So you still have standards and things you need to get done. Your genetics is just part of a bigger equation. You can have all the genetics in the world and then go do something dumb and then lose your NFL contract. So these are the things that happen. Like, I read people say things about marriage that just make me laugh. Like they'll tell a girl she's over the wall at 25 and she can't get married, and I got married at 26. Or I know Lisa Nichols, who's a famous speaker who just got married at 54. You know, people always ready to tell you what's impossible. People say, "Oh, you're big and you look ugly." I'm like, I don't think I'm ugly, but I ain't saying I'm a, Victoria's Secret model. And I've been happily married for the last 13 years. And I didn't say I was just married. I said I was happily married. There are people who are married and trying to get out right at this minute. These are people who are ducking and diving, their spouses cheating right now, doing things. Over at Conic, we are making marriages to last, to thrive. This is why I ask you guys, what is your intentions for marriage? Why be married at all? I don't go ask everybody to join my crew and to get married. I'm happy if you say you're getting married. I'm like, yeah, let me help you out. But I don't, because even Paul said in the Bible, if you must. Marriage is not for everybody. It really ain't, because not everybody willing to do the work. Did I tell you it was hard just because I mentioned work? Work in physics is just the ability to do an action. It's force over, acceleration. If you push a box, you're doing work. But anything worth having is work. If you got a friendship but you're not doing anything, that's not a good friendship. If you are a child and you're not reaching out to your siblings or your family, that's not good relationship. So you can be married. You can go to the courthouse and the government give you a certificate if you go down there. But we want healthy social empires, because what's the point of getting a bunch of people married if they all break up? Like the show Bachelor and stuff. I think the most recent Bachelor just got a divorce. Like, what's the point of hooking people up other than the entertainment they probably getting if they just gonna not win? So yes, I did have, this book, Iconic, which is just a quick thing of my thoughts and ideas. I spoke to newlywed women after they get the ring. Now what? Because a lot of people get the ring and they think that's the goal, and no, that's the beginning. There's parenting advice in here. There's something for men and women to put aside our differences, to stop blasting each other in the face on these podcasts, not mine. I love men to death, so you're not going to really hear. Now, there's a certain type of people that I might blast in the face, only to encourage y'all to do better. I don't blast people in the face just to be mean. That's not me. It's the NCO soldier in me that sees potential in people to be better and to be awesome. And I feel like I just got to give you that nudge. And obviously, I'm gonna give you the same energy if you come at me sideways. But I don't think a lot of people even know that I look like, this docile black lady, big black lady that can make you some cookies behind my account. I laugh at that because I can be vicious sometimes, and I'm trying to work on it. God is still working on me. But yeah, so I do this podcast to talk to you on a more personal level. I could have obviously wrote this as a bunch of newsletters, or I could have sent out a bunch of posts over on X. But I want you to know that you have someone in your corner. So you don't have to, when I said marriage is intentionality and it's hard and it's all of these things, and you feel like you're struggling maybe on certain aspects, maybe your spouse not listening to your needs, maybe y'all having a division of labor problem, that there is someone in your corner that is here for you. And these books also are not just for your own arsenal. You can buy them and give them to people. You're also helping us give them away for free. You're also helping us create this community over on Iconic. We have an interactive chat and all of that. So if you having a problem, you can come talk. And you can also DM me and we can do a one-on-one coaching session. We have that available as well. So that way we can all be lifted up together. Because again, this Iconic is a community, but it's a community made up of individuals. And even in your relationship, you're still an individual. Like me and my husband are two totally different people. If you met him, you'd be like, how he married her crazy, but he ain't nothing like her. But again, it's been 17 years, so he used to my crazy. He seen me skinny, he seen me big, he seen me crazy, he seen me before all this gray hair, he seen me with straight hair, blue hair, green hair. I think I had some red hair. But it's been amazing. Has it always been amazing? No. Like they say in the beginning, it's hard, and because you're messing with somebody new. But I am here to tell you, like I'm like on the promised land, like, hey, the promised land is here. You can be a good relationship. You can be a good spouse. And while people are arguing about some girl wearing a tight shirt, we could actually be out there talking to girls and women about not just what they wear, but how to act and how to attract and how to set up and where to go and how to be in your Ruth era instead of your soft girl era, or to be in your Queen Esther era, and save your people. So hope is such a thing that you have to find. Like I told you that boot camp was hard, but what made it possible is just the fact I've seen people be soldiers before. My drill sergeants had to go to boot camp. Everybody has to go there who wants to wear a uniform. So you have to find your hope in your why. Why are you getting married? Why are you wanting children? Because society told you? Because your mom want a grandbaby? Because the Bible says so? What is your why? Do you care about the legacy of your community? Do you feel about the marriage and childbirth rate? This is why we need people, and this is what I said, we need veteran spouses like my parents, like my pastor, like lots of other people, Sonny Johnson and her husband, and all these other people I can name. We need these type of people like me to step up and say, hey, I got the bitterness. I got the red pill movement, the MGTOW movement, the feminist movement. I got all of these different podcasters. I'm not knocking nothing they doing. Do them. But there has to be another voice, a counter voice, a options voice that says, hey, you can still get married in 2024 with gay marriage legal, with the craziness out here, with the toxicness out here, with all the red flags out here, with all of the things that's going on here, with all the election stuff. You can still build a social empire. Over at the CCM, Coach has she teaches spiritual laws and principles that guide human behavior, and those spiritual laws and principles will help build you in the social, political, and economic spaces. And since she is so dominated in the political space, I felt like I didn't need to have such a voice in the political space. I was like almost piggybacking off of some of the stuff she was saying. It was because we, agreed on a lot. So I was like, wait a minute, I can do something else. She's a single mother. She has a big program called the My Beloved Women's Network, and she helps women like me and others build our own businesses. And I was just thinking, wait a minute, she has a single mother program. She's helping women that are in, domestic violence situations where they don't know how they're going to feed their kids. They want to build and they want to find their husband. She's dealing with that. And I was like, hey, I could do something. And I can give you the video link somewhere of our conversation because it's a part of her program when you become a published author through her program. And I'm kind of going to do it again to get this book out to you guys. And what I've discovered is a lot of the time there are people who are healthy and successful in what they do. Well, because they're so focused in, like, I'm homeschooling, I'm cooking, I'm cleaning, I'm building a business. We don't have time to actually help others. And so those of us who can or want to, we can be the ones like, yeah, I love being a wifey. There's nothing about my marriage that's subjugating. I love my matriarch authority over my kids. My kids are happy and healthy to a point they spoiled, but they have things I've never had, and not to mess around with, anybody else's situation or dog anybody that came before me that made what I'm doing possible. It's just that now there's this disconnect where men and women can feel like they can't even talk to each other. And I met my husband at work where we were at a place where PDA was not even allowed. Like, spouses are not even supposed to hold hands in the military. Like, there's not supposed to be no fraternization in the Army. It's a long time ago, so I can self-snitch now. But what am I getting at? What is my goal? It's to help you guys understand that there is a place, if you want to have a successful, iconic marriage, I got you. And I say that in a lot of newsletters because sometimes people feel like they have to do things on their own. And that's where the depression, the outrage, the shame, the weird feelings of everything come from, The Great Commission is to go preach the gospel, to spread the good news. I'm telling you, there's some good news out here. And it's also a community. So if you've been married for a while and you're like, well, I don't need marriage coaching, I don't need the book to tell me about my marriage, why don't you come over here? Come on over and share that information with some of us, because you might help me see some things, and I can interview you on a podcast. We can have some newsletters. Who needs to write and collab? I have an affiliate program if you want to make some money off the books. If you want to share the books in the community, we have bulk. You have a church and maybe you want to spread the books out to people. You have a community organization, a rep center, or something like that. Hey, why don't we hook up and get it doing? So I was always known as someone who talks a lot. That's just something. I don't know if you guys seen different movies, but my call sign in the military was Hammy. But yeah, I talk a lot, but what did I do with my voice? So that's why I created this podcast, to use my voice to uplift others. People can dehumanize and say women do this and they do that and they hoes and whores and blah, 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 blah. And then there's girls that be like, the men ain't nothing, all men cheat, I don't trust men. Da, da, da. They're all people that'll knock people down anywhere you look. We need a wholesome counterculture to the crazy. You guys talk about the purple hair pronoun people wearing dresses all the time. But it look like they winning to me because they're controlling the culture going their direction. And calling them names, yeah, it might make you feel good, but is it reversing everything? Because the people who are seeing the crazy, who are saying, hey, wait a minute, this is not me. I mean, I was over here and I was listening to y'all caring about minorities and women, and then y'all went off the edge. Let me go and see what these other people doing, and you find nothing. And I'm not talking about like you don't find them saying marriage is good. You don't find them saying they believe in family. You don't find them saying that people should, save themselves from marriage and stuff. It's not that you don't find the words, but you don't find the structure. You don't find the media. You don't find the puffed up chest that says, yes, I'm married and I can check my husband's phone whenever I want to. He'll leave his phone in front of me because he ain't worried about me or what's on his phone. People that actually rep their marriages and rep their spouses. And, you hear me with my attitude, but if my husband walked in here, I probably wouldn't sound the same because I love my baby. See how easy that was to change? And I do. My whole brand is Mrs. Pinky because I married him. Pinky was his name in the military. Her last name is Pinkston. I called him because we were best friends. I kept calling him Pinky. Hey, Pinky, what's up? You got the radios ready for my truck? And then I joked when we was dating, hey, if we get married, my name is going to be Mrs. Pinky. Now I got Mrs. Pinky, Kid Pinky, our son, little Miss Pinky, our daughter, and we even have Cat Pinky. I laugh every time I say that because I haven't thought of a way to fit the cat in there. And she's a girl too, so she can wear pink stuff all the time, like my shirt and my glasses. But you see how, if you're seeing me, you see how I'm smiling. If you're listening, you hear how I'm laughing and got this girly giggling. I don't think it's really girly because I'm from Baltimore and my accent is weird. But the reason is because that's how I feel. Even if you read the beginning of my book, that's how I feel about being a mom and a wife. I get a smile on my face when I think of my husband. He's not here. He's at work. He's been gone for hours, but as soon as I just think of my husband, I'm like, oh, I can't believe I'm married to this man. And he goes, you being so dumb. Like, he clowned me. Y'all, I will be laughing for 5 minutes if I keep talking about my babe. But that's how I want all y'all to feel. I don't want you to feel like, oh, he coming home. Let me, or some men, they'll say when they come home from work, they stay in their car for 10 minutes because they don't want to go inside the house because they know that they're going to get their head turned off. No, we don't want those types of marriages that are, no. And I've seen that. I've seen, spouses that want to hit each other and want to fight each other or want to bust each other with a bottle of wine, or you think about the movie Why Did I Get Married by Tyler Perry, and you think about how she just cracked him in the head because she was tired of his mess. Yeah, no, this is not toxic. We want healthy, happy marriages. And I know a lot of people, like when they say healthy, they think physical, like you want her to look good and be good, because not for looks, but for their heart. Diabetes and strokes and all of that are prevalent in overweight people. I know I'm working on it. But when we talk about health, we also have to talk about emotional, spiritual, and mental health. You can have a girl that looked good and got all her waist numbers and her boob numbers and all of that great, and she shit crazy, like, or he is nuts, or he's depressed and not getting anything done, and he has the potential to be the CEO of a company, but he is done with everything and ready to go off the deep end. Like, I'm telling you, when I went through my depression and I was really heavily in it, I was ready to get up out of here. And you're supposed to stand by people with that too. Your vows, it says sickness and in health. So when people are like, oh, if she get fat, I gotta get out of here. That's not how the vows work. You better do some push-ups with her. You better do some sit-ups with him. Y'all better get some whey protein or something going on. And I know some people who are in the fitness, who are fitness coaches. If I need to hang you off to them, that's coaching circle is kind of big. And that leads me to my last point. I know it sounds like I'm just talking to you like we're best friends and this is more like a chit chat conversation, but I'm leading into you that you do not have to do any of this alone. The hope for 2024, the happy new year. The reason why people just hate resolutions now is because they feel like they start them and can't finish them. But you take it one day at a time, and you don't do it by yourself. I'm a marriage coach. You can come talk to me. I done heard it all, and I probably done some of that stuff too. And I'm cheaper than therapy. You might just need a little nudge in a certain way. And we can do this. We create a community of wives and husbands, newlywed singles who want to get married, or singles who just interested in the idea, divorced people who just want to chill and give you advice, maybe, that don't do what they did or they didn't do or they didn't see. We want to make this thing big, and we're going bigger and better. That's why I created a new GoFundMe that's different than the one I used to use over here at gogetfunded.com/iconic-formula. And if you look right under here, our goal is $25,000. And I think we can do it. Yeah, it says 0 right now. It's okay. God will provide. Because when you guys understand the vision, is that once we build ourselves, our families, our social empires, then we're going to want to protect what we're building. We're going to want to make sure our kids can go to affordable colleges, make sure that we can homeschool, make sure that the houses we building is on solid land and not being bought up by China. You see how it goes into the politics once you start to get the social right. But if you do the politics first, that takes a long time. That takes electing the right people. That takes people listening to you, campaigning and all of that stuff. If we start to build up marriages and families, then these communities are going to start going, wait a minute, why I'm getting all this money out of my taxes? Why these potholes not fixed? You see how that translates, how political, social, economic all intertwine with each other? It is my hope that in 2024 and beyond, that we activate in our own way. I know I got into this back and forth with this lady. I cannot remember her name, so I can at least apologize, because I know she was just frustrated because she was working in trying to win at the school board system, and she was telling parents, hey, don't just walk away, help change it. And I was debating with her because I was like, well, I did try to change it, but she wasn't talking to me. She was talking to people who just don't do nothing and just walk away. And I was saying, well, when you don't like Walmart, when you don't like Target, when you don't like something, you just go to something else. What is that something else on the right to help people actually build marriages? Not just advice, not just, tweets. Where's a system that can help people? What kind of marriages are we trying to build? That is what Iconic is. And that is what we're doing here. I don't want to hold you any longer. If you made it through all of my talking, if you made it through all of my points and all of this discussion, thank you so much. I appreciate you. I pray that God blesses you for the year. I love my icons. I love you guys. You guys keep me going. I know this show didn't have a guest, but we're gonna work on that so you don't just hear me talk for 45, 50 minutes again. If you want to find us, please go to I'm gonna pull it up again on the stage for you to make it easier for you. That's why I wanted to do a visual podcast. If you are on the audio side of things, I'm gonna have the links in the show notes. So if you're over at Apple, you're gonna see that it's MRSPINKYTHOUGHTS.substack.com. Mrs. Pinky Thoughts, just like the podcast, .substack.com. I use that because iconic is a regular word and it was very hard to, just say iconic.substack. So I use my brand. And then you come over here and you will not see any of this unless you subscribe. And you can subscribe for free. But if you want to help us out in what we're doing over here, you have to subscribe to our premium, which is $5 a month, $50 a year, discount 2 months. Because $5 a month for 12 months is $60. And if you really, really, really want to help us and you want to get everything that we got from our library, all of our books, and our marriage e-course, you can become a founding member for $150. And you want to get on the list for our new book. Our new book is called The Iconic Formula for Marriage Success. If you use this page, you are donating towards our work. We're giving out 3,000 copies of this book nationwide. It's one thing to work online. It's one thing to be over here on X typing all day, talking, but you have to have that stuff translate into the real world, because Twitter, X, whatever you want to call it, is not the real world. You have to actually show up knocking on people's doors, giving them something, talking to people to see what they need so you can provide what they need. I don't know, everything, and I cannot do this alone. So I need you guys to join me in this iconic work so we can get it together. Thank you for joining me on a new episode of Mrs. Pinky Thoughts. I'm your host, Nicole Pinkston, and see you next time.